Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press. Today, Tuesday, December 9th, 2025, here in the Southern District of New York Courthouse. Actually, we're headed to the New York State Courthouse at 100 Center Street for day 5 of People of the State of New York versus Luigi Mangione suppression hearing. Last Wednesday, we filed to get stuff unsealed, and it began to be unsealed. Things have gotten a little more complicated from that, but keep your eye on the ball. Following that intervention, Judge Caro said that at least some could be revealed. Now, the body cam footage is still not coming out, but yesterday the photos of the gun found by police officer Wasser. The controversy involves whether Wasser sort of interjected herself. She was never asked to go to the McDonald's. She kind of went on her own to back up Detweiler. But then she also is the one that drove the backpack between the McDonald's and the police station. Again, this is cutting the cheese pretty fine. There is some United Healthcare news, actually, we're going to be tweeting out today. They're being sued for their role in the opioid crisis, among other things, as well as denying claims. So there is that, but there is what's being presented in court. We're going to stay on that case. We're also going to, this week, cover the sentencing of Do Kwon. Do Kwon, of course, one of the big crypto fraudsters. In fact, the U.S. Justice Department is saying that he's worse, or at least has a bigger loss figure, than SBF or Mashinsky or even Sebastian Greenwood of OneCoin, whose sentencing letters we won the unsealing of in the Second Circuit. Yes, it's true. So we'll be covering his sentencing. We're trying to set it up to be live tweeted. It's always a struggle, but we managed to do it on Tekashi 69. We'll see whether it can be done on Mr. Do Kwon. As we hit the corner, we have more financial news than usual. And here's why. A major merger, $7 billion, is somehow allowed to proceed without any oversight by the Federal Reserve. This seems like a real danger. People are always talking about a return to the 2008 crisis. Well, when you start having rubber-stamped, the Federal Reserve is, for all of its flaws, they do look at things. Yesterday they asked Fifth Third some additional questions about the Direct Express program that Fair Finance Watch had raised. But $7 billion, no Fed. So Fair Finance Watch, being what it is, has commented at the earliest possible time to the Fed on two admittedly smaller transactions, one by Fulton Financial, Blue Foundry, the other one by Associated Banc-Corp and American National. Because if you don't get the Fed involved, the Fed just sits back. In fact, the Fed was asked about this $7 billion deal and never did a simple answer to say we don't have an application. So they let the clock run down. Terrible. Finally, the United Nations. Yes, another scoop by Inner City Press this morning from UN whistleblowers in Geneva. They work at the UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights. And they have alleged massive waste and fraud by Volker Turk. We've run a number of these stories. The people that he's promoted, his own desire to possibly run for office in Vienna, Austria, his desire to move jobs around and move people without their consent. And of course, as is prevalent within Antonio Guterres' UN, the brunt of the layoffs all being on lower level staff, and Tony's cronies remaining untouched. Well, tomorrow is so-called Human Rights Day, which is a fine day, except that at the United Nations it's a ghoulish day in which overcompensated, censorious, and hypocritical officials waste your money trying to associate themselves with human rights. We don't believe it, we've applied to re-enter, and we will not cease. Now we're heading over there, 100 Center Street.